Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another great episode of the Great Debaters Contest. We've touched down in Nakuru region. It's sure going to blow your mind. I'm Austin Nyumbok.
And I am Mariam Bishar. Now, education is one of the world's sustainable development goals. We aim to ensure that everybody has access to quality education. So today's motion asks whether lack of access to education is one of the main contributors to crime in Kenya. So we'll have the debaters take the stage and answer that question for us. Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Sami Doita from Wakas High School, and I'm here to strongly propose on the motion that the lack of access to quality education is the main reason for increasing crime in Kenya. And I want to ask each and every one of you, if you do not have a fellow colleague of yours who has ever left school, dropped out of school, and that one will be my starting point. Well, crime is rampant in each and every one of our slums in Kenya. And I actually want to tell you that me as an individual, I've faced it face to face. In each and every one of my endeavors, I've faced my own classmates who drop out and they can dare come and beat me up just to get a little piece of my money, my mother's money. Second, I want to tell you about the Gaza and superpower. I'm sure that each and every one of you did watch the video shot on NTV on last month, whereby they shot a 17-year-old boy in cold blood. Do you know why? That boy did not have quality education. If he was in school, that boy could probably be with us right now. I mean, just imagine of the full potential of that boy if he had quality education. Education to realize our full potentials. That is the meaning of quality education. Education to make each one of us be a very good person in future, achieve our mentorship goals. Maybe that boy wanted to be a pilot, but look, he had low quality of education. He had dropped out of school. On to my second point, unemployment. Quality education. People who have low quality of education are employed. Do you know why we import workers from China? It's not because we do not have education. It's because we have low quality of education. If we had the correct quality of education, the better part of education, I mean, our engineers will be the ones who will be building the road for us. Our doctors will be in the hospitals. I went to Kijabe once, and I was being treated by a white doctor from Canada. I mean, don't we have our own doctors? Don't we? We do. But the fact that we have low quality education. Education which does not realize our full potential. Maybe some of us wanted to be greater things, scientists, but if that quality education is not there, where are we going? As a nation, we need to have quality education. Thank you.
Okay, we'll hear the opposition's opening statements. You have 3 minutes.
That was meant for a laugh, but I believe that sometimes you cannot laugh for people with disability with thinking. Stephen Minor from Kimani, Ngunjiri, strongly opposing the motion that says lack of access to quality education is the main reason for the increase of crime rate in Kenya. No, I say no. I totally disagree. How? If I'm not learned, is there anywhere in the Constitution that is written I cannot be employed? When those engineers have come when those engineers have come, or even when they're building a house, they need watu wa mkono. And those people, they can be still employed. And in fact, let me start off by defining what is crime. Crime is any activity that involves breaking of the law, and I believe it can also be punished by the law. And what is education? Education is the process of teaching, learning, and training. And let me, for example, give you 3 examples of crime. Murder, rape, and stealing. Let me tell you, where does murder and rape connect with education. Let me explain more about this case of murder, killing. Let me tell you that if you don't know, murder started before. Murder, killing is as old as man. We all know this story of Cain and Abel. They were two brothers, and came a time when they were to give their offerings to God. But it happened that God liked Abel's offering than Cain's offering. And what did Cain end up doing? He ended up killing his brother because he got very jealous and he could not take it. And let me tell you something. Each crime got its main reason, and I believe that is not education. Because killing, I also am a murderer. I've killed many. Do you know why? Because if Cain could have been given as a fair punishment from God, I won't be doing murder, I won't be killing. But Cain was punished that he would walk over generation from generation and no one will harm him and he will not die. And I also don't want to die. I want to live even after the end of world because I've killed as many chickens that, you know. Stephen Minor, Kimani Ngunjiri, opposing the motion. Thank you.
We'll hear rebuttals now, beginning with the proposers. You have 3 minutes.
Here is Teresia Karaoke from Workers High School, ready to propose the motion that lack of quality education is the main reason for increase in crime rate in Kenya. First, the main reason for increase in crime rate in Kenya, it is those people that lack the quality education. And here, on to my first point, high population is the main reason for increase in crime rate in Kenya. In Kenya now, we have 40 million, a population of 40 million Kenyans. 1 million kids are born daily. Where do you expect to get the food from? We are importing maize from the developed countries. Like, for example, we imported maize from Mexico. Why? Not because we are not learned, but we don't have the quality education to take care of our lands, to be able to manage our lands and have our own food. Why buy food from other countries? Yet we have lands. Why? Another thing, they are yet to import maize from Ethiopia. They are yet to import maize from Ethiopia and Zambia. Not because we are not learned, but we are not using our resources well. And to my second point, is education itself. What is education? When we have education, but not the quality education, we are likely to go nowhere. We can go nowhere. But if we accept to use our education well, we have the teachers who give us the quality education, but we as students, we just take it for granted. I would like to oppose my brother who said that he cannot be employed. I tell you, my brother, you cannot be employed, yet you don't have the access to quality education. Not only education, but the quality one. I'm sure that none of you will even spend 24 hours with an empty stomach. Our parents need to give us the quality education that we need by taking us to school. And for them to take us to school, even they need to have the quality education they need to have access to quality education. Thank you.
Opposition will hear your rebuttal. You have 3 minutes.
Hanan Joki from Kimani Ngunjiri High School, ready and willing to oppose the motion that says lack of access to quality education is the main reason for crime rates in Kenya. If you look at this from this dimension, most fraud and misappropriation of fund is made done by the most learned people in this country of Kenya. Like currently in our country, the general auditor is undergoing investigation. Now I would like to ask you, do someone undergo investigation if he has won a lottery or has committed a crime in Kenya? Obviously, it's because he has committed a crime in Kenya. On to my next point. People may tend to use their talents so that they cannot engage in crime. If some people who run like the athletes, most of them are not they do not have maybe that quality education, but they can use their talent to go into greater heights and develop their families and and themselves. And therefore, they do not have time for petty issues like crimes in engaging in them. And to my third point, a pathologist was given a dead body to perform an optimization, and when he was bribed, and that he gave a negative report, and that leading to the person who was seeking justice not having justice at all, and a cardiologist was going to perform an examination on a girl who was defiled, but because he was corrupt and bribed, he gave a negative report. That girl was suffered injustice, and all his life was destroyed forever. You see it in this dimension. The powerful technicians are the ones who are hacking our computers. M-Pesa has suffered a lot, and Safaricom from this problem of hacking. People are hacking their technicians, their computers, and taking away all their properties and money. So I urge you to let us oppose this motion that says that lack of quality education is the main reason for lack of access is the main reason for increased crime rate in Kenya, because that is not true, because powerful people are engaging in crimes.
The proposers have been asked to explain how there's still high unemployment rates among people who are educated, and the opposition have been asked to elaborate more on the link between fraud and education, and if people in high offices had better education, would they not commit fraud then? We'll have them respond to those questions. Third proposer, you have 3 minutes.
Well said by Bertolt Brecht that the home of the Soviet people is the home of reason. Although we are not in the Soviet people, but let's reason this out. It said that if the quality education, people who have quality, I think some people do not understand the quality education. But I'm replying to the question and saying, if all of us had that quality education, then we'll be self-employed. We'll not need employment. That's the answer. Then I'll go and say that another lack of quality education, lack of access to quality education is the main reason for increase in crime rate in Kenya. Because if all these people, all these mothers in Kenya had accessed that quality education, then we would not have that death in the maternals. We found that in all the regions in Kenya, like the research done by the Kenya Medical Association, that there's reduction in maternal death, the death of children who are born per 1,000. And that is reduction by 2% each and every year. So we find that after reducing that into 2%, we find that because of the quality of education, which is increasing, people are more accessing more education. If all we had education, then I think there'll be no death in the maternal health. Then I want to say that I'll take an example. I'll take this biro. This biro here, allow me. This biro here is all a person's lives. Here, the ink is the education, the quality education. If everyone could access that quality education, then could this biro write? Yes, it could write. But if we had all this, but no ink, the ink is the quality education. If we had all this money, all these things, but we didn't have the ink, then the biro won't write. The other one is, I think some people do not understand the quality education. Quality education is the education that can help a person achieve his or her goal, the economic goal, the financial goal. And we find that if everyone could achieve this education, the education, the formal education and the informal education, we find that in the past we had that informal education, the quality one. If everyone could access even that informal right now, then the crime rate would have reduced. But because they cannot, this is the Kenyan system now growing. We are growing in rates each and every year. Then we find that because of growing, then there is no that access. People do not access that education. Thank you.
Opposition, you have 3 minutes to respond to the audience.
Thank you for this chance to oppose whatever he has said. Before I say anything, I'm having a pen also. My pen has ink inside it. I don't know if it can move out. No, it cannot. Ask me why. This is what we call talent. The power of talent. The talent in you can make you earn a lot of things. I have a brother who sings. That brother is a great singer. I don't know if you know him, but he's my brother because he is my mentor, Uche. He didn't have education, but what did he have? Talent. As you look here, your talent is inside you. It cannot move out as his, but your talent is in you. You have this, what we call character. Character affects your everything. Because if I am educated, but my character, when I was small, I would carry my friend's biro pen. I would be beaten thoroughly. Why? Because that character in me, if it grows, I will be a bad person. So I didn't have to go to school to know that biro pens are not for, it is not good to take person's biro pen. I learned that at home. That is my mom's education. Look at this. A successful person, owning a car, driving a car, having a big family, but that person has gotten it in a bribery way. Ask me how. That person moved out from his office. He is a successful judge. When he goes to court, he is supposed to judge very equally. But that person then goes, another person who is learned, that person takes the chance to bribe that person to get justice. And if I can go back to our first speaker, Stephen, you'll see that if people were being thoroughly punished, we wouldn't have these cases of crime. Why? Because if I thoroughly punish somebody, the other person will learn. You won't take for example, that person was stealing, you won't ever steal if you see me banning a person. But you're not doing that. Why? Corruption. You always see people filed with a case of killing and then the case goes, psh. You don't see it. Drug traffickers. Don't tell me I'll go outside here and tell you, that is bang, that is bang. I've not gotten any education. I must get education to know that that is bang. So this education, the same education, is helping us to get money, but not character. Thank you.
We'll hear final statements now. Proposition, you have a minute.
And again, I come and say that lack of quality education is the main reason for increasing crime rate in Kenya. Why? Because my fellow here have said that if we had all that education, if everyone had access to quality education, then Kenya would be so far. Look at the countries which are more developed in education. Look at the USA. They have that quality education. They are both based in talent and anything. But look at Kenya. We have that. If everyone could access that quality education, then there's no reason for crime rate in Kenya, for increasing crime rate in Kenya.
Opposers, you have a minute as well for your closing statement.
Thank you so much. Do you know what you've just said? Let me tell you something. You've said that if access to quality education will not bring more crime in Kenya. Let me tell you something. Last month, there was this Kenyan guy who was caught. He was a hacker. In fact, he hacked 44 billion from KRA in Kenya. And that person learned in USA the computer. That person accessed quality education about computer. Do you think it's so easy for just a simple guy to go and hack KRA? Do you know what KRA means? Research yourself. And now I tell you that. And now I say that, as for me, when I look to some innocent faces, I think if they depend on one thing, and let me tell you something, a fool only depends on one thing, but a wise person got many ways to escape. Let me tell you one thing, if there was no quality education, I think some people would die. Thank you.
Sami from Workers. You have great use of gestures, eye contact. That was very good. Great use of rhetoric and very good use of time. You actually used your time almost perfectly. Tresia, you also did well. You also did quite well. You had very good points. There is one that you were talking about, big people who are criminals. Maybe if you had mentioned, you had said something more about that, it would have landed home and would have given weight to your point. Raphael and Purity, your examples with the biro were apt and to the point.
Kimani Ngunjiri Secondary School. Stephen, as the first speaker, your introduction was quite good. You defined the terms. Well done. You also gave us a very good conclusion towards the end. Your stage presence was quite good. Anna, try to relax on stage and be more confident. You also had very good points. Purity Wambui, you're a very good speaker. I like the way you connected well with the audience. And you also have a very good mastery of topic. All the best to the two teams.
Thank you very much, judges. This was clearly a tricky one for the judges. They gave Workers High School and Kimani Ngunjiri High School 56%, so it's a tie. Please give the two teams a round of applause.
We appreciate the two teams on stage for such a wonderful debate. We'd also like to appreciate you, members of the audience, for being active, and also want to urge you, those viewers back home, engage us on social media at Great Debaters EA and keep the conversation going. I am Austin Nyumbo.
And I am Mariam Bashar. Thank you for watching.
The Great Debaters Contest is powered by Blaze, by Safaricom, the Youth Network.